Hey guys, Raveen here. Welcome to my channel. So I've just finished watching Spider-Man Brand New Day, the latest movie featuring Tom Holland as Spider-Man, the fourth movie in the franchise. This time directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. So it's a new director. I'm really glad and relieved to say that this was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. I will say that I was a bit apprehensive going in because this is the fourth movie, and normally, sequels, they tend to run into the diminishing returns as you keep on making more and more sequels. This was good because the first three were really good as well. A really great trilogy. Comparing with the others, especially the third one, I don't know, I might just like this one a bit better, mainly because it felt like a natural progression of the character and the story. It felt more mature, more serious. I really appreciate the groundedness of it, because the first three movies had a bit more lighter, childlike tone to it, which was fine, which made sense. That's not a problem for me, because it made sense, because he was younger at that time, he was in school. But now he's out in the real world, and it is a bit of a time jump. So things are a bit more serious now. He's a bit more mature, and so I really appreciate that aspect of this movie, because it's something fresh, right? Away from the childlike tone of the first three movies. And when I say childlike, I don't mean like immature or like cheesy or silly, but it would be like how you would think a child or a teenager would act if he had those powers, the type of tone, the type of dialogue and all that. So that was there in the first three movies, and now it's different. So I really appreciate that. Overall, a great story, great dialogue. One thing I really like, apart from what my first point, is that this movie focuses a lot on Spider-Man and on Peter Parker. So there are other characters, especially other characters that we've seen in the Marvel movies before this, and that was really nice. I really appreciate that. But it's still front and center a Spider-Man film, a Peter Parker film, and so I really appreciate that they kept the focus on him. Apart from that, it has a nice sense of continuity from the third one, from No Way Home, and the ramifications, the consequences of what happened in No Way Home. If you watch the movie, then you know the sacrifices that Peter had to make, especially at the end of the movie, right? Following the end of that movie. And I really like that those decisions continue to affect him and weigh heavily on him, because the decisions he made at the end of the third movie would have a really strong and a powerful effect on him moving forward. And it did in this movie. They show it in this movie. So I'm really glad that they featured that. And yeah, it's I think the second longest Spider-Man movie featuring Tom Holland, because the No Way Home was the longest. This one is slightly shorter than that, so it's the second longest Spider-Man movie. But it didn't feel slow or draggy. I was engaged the whole time. That's the thing. The pacing was really good in this story. So even though it's like almost, I think, 2 hours 25 minutes like that, the story kept flowing, and there was never really a dull moment at all. You were engaged, you were intrigued of what's happening, you want to know how is he going to defeat this new threat. And speaking of the new threat, the villain, or rather the antagonist, I should say, of this film, there are actually a couple of antagonists in this film, main antagonists, which may not be revealed to you as the audience immediately. It'll take some time, but there was a lot of gray area with them, especially the antagonist is more front and center. It wasn't a black and white type of character. You could understand where that antagonist was coming from. You can understand how that person's past affected their decisions in the movie, why the person chose to do those, evil, bad things. I mean, it's still bad, it's still evil. I mean, you are against it, but given what is revealed at the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, about this person, you can understand why that person did what they did in the movie and all those evil acts. So I really appreciate that you have an antagonist who is not clear-cut black and white, and you can see where they're coming from. I always appreciate that when movies, especially superhero movies, the villain is not black and white. You can see where they're coming from. You disagree with what they're doing for sure, but there's more to them. There's a bit of complexity to them. So I think both antagonists had that. Also, another thing that I really appreciate in this movie, which is something that's really important to me, my personal preference in movies, especially superhero movies. There weren't any cheesy moments. There were comedic moments, but it fit. It made sense. It wasn't overdone. It didn't feel cheesy. The characters doing them didn't feel out of character when they did that. Maybe slightly cheesy or slightly silly in certain things, but it was very little. It was very controlled. It wasn't overdone. So I really appreciate that. Because when those things happen in movies, when you have cheesy moments, or when characters do things that are a bit too out of character, a bit too silly, it really pulls me out of the movie, pulls me out of the story in the moment. So I honestly hate that. So I'm really glad that this movie, it's a Spider-Man movie, but the comedic moments weren't overdone and they had their place, and it maintained the tone of the movie. Apart from that, there were some moments in the film that referenced what happened before, especially in No Way Home. So I really liked that because it gave a sense of continuity and it showed relevance to the story that happened before, leading up to this movie, especially in number 3, No Way Home. So I like that there was a sense of connection to the movie from the previous movies. So I really liked that, and because it added more weight to the film. They added more weight to the character of Peter of Spider-Man. The action was really good. It was really nice to see this movie has a lot of cool Spider-Man action and a lot of swinging. The first 3 movies featuring Tom Holland as Spider-Man, there was not that much swinging, especially like in New York, the type of cool moves from him that we want to see. This movie had a lot more of that, so I really like that. I really appreciate that. Some cool moves, some cool swinging sets featuring Spider-Man in this movie. The side characters were really good. From the trailer, we saw the Punisher, Bruce Banner. So they played their part well, and it didn't feel like shoehorned in or fake. It made sense why these guys were in the movie based on the story. And of course, it didn't overshadow the main character, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He was still the main character of the movie. So the way they balanced all that and incorporated it was done very well as well. And it made the movie relevant in terms of it being part of the larger MCU. It didn't feel completely isolated, which that can be fine by itself, but I also appreciate the fact that some of those moments with with some of the side characters that we've seen in other Marvel movies, it makes you feel connected. It makes you feel like it's part of the overall MCU. So that connection is there. So I appreciate that. Overall, I'm really glad with how this movie was done, and Destin Daniel Cretton did a really good job, in my opinion. The characters, their decisions, how they acted in this movie, their choices that they made. It was done very well. It was done in a believable way. Nothing felt fake or forced. And I guess when you see the movie, you know what I'm talking about. All the characters, the main character, Spider-Man, the antagonist, the side characters, MJ, Ned, it all made sense. And it was done in a mature way. All that elevated the movie because it made it more believable, it made it more realistic, and made me connect to the characters a lot more. I really enjoyed this movie. I really liked the themes, most of the aspects of it, the acting, dialogue, character development, plot progression, the action, all that. I don't know, it may just be the best Spider-Man movie for me. Because the others were good, but this one in particular feels the best for me, I would say. Those are my thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day. If you guys have watched it, let me know what you thought of it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.